JJ, welcome to Breakdown.
Welcome.
January 23, 2026. College football is in the books.
Indeed, we have a new champion for the
SEC,
first time since 1996.
we always talk SEC, Big Ten. So, who won the football season?
Who won the football season? The Big Ten or the SEC?
Yes, sir.
For the third year in a row, I'm going to have to say the Big Ten.
Okay, Big Ten. I concur.
This is the first time since 1940s that the Big Ten has had three straight champions, and that was Minnesota, three straight back to back to back. Was
Okay.
that. And this is the first time ever that the Big Ten has had three unique champions straight in a row. Ohio State last year, Michigan the year prior, and of course, the Indiana Hoosiers are your 2026 national champions. And
If I didn't know any better, I would say you'd be talking basketball instead of football. But we're talking football, and it's Indiana.
hey, Indiana, they're the most recent undefeated football champion, and they're the most recent undefeated basketball champion. 1978, I believe, was the last undefeated basketball season.
Go Indiana. So,
It must be good to be a Hoosier.
what is Indiana these days, JJ? Is Indiana a basketball school or is it a football school?
Man, Indiana, they're the biggest alumni base in the country. They just won the championship. They just won the Heisman Trophy. They're likely going to have the first overall pick. Fernando Mendoza will likely be a Las Vegas Raider, following the footsteps of Joe Burrow before him and Cam Newton before him.
I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later on in the program, but go ahead.
Yeah, what is Indiana? They're the first new football champion since the 1996 Florida Gators, led by Steve Spurrier. For the time being, they're definitely a football program. They're a bubble team at best in the basketball side of things, but we won't have to worry about Coach DeVries because the football program has cast such a wide shadow. We don't even have to worry about that for them right now.
I agree. Two seasons ago, Indiana made it to the college football playoff, lost their first game against Notre Dame. How much serious consideration did you give to Indiana at the start of the year of winning it all this season?
Oof, man, their odds were like
But we're talking you now. I'm not talking about the
10,000 to
bookies.
1. I didn't give them much chance. I thought they'd be a top 10 program, but I thought that they could make the playoff.
So
I thought they could do better than they did last year. They didn't win a game in the playoff last year.
Okay.
But I didn't think that they had much of a chance to usurp either Ohio State or Oregon. In the top two in the Big Ten. I thought their best hope was to come in third.
So what does Indiana's victory do for other schools?
It gives them the type of hope that they could only dream of. This is the first time in the college football playoff or BCS history where the blue chip ratio, quote unquote, has been this slanted. It was 8% blue chip ratio for Indiana. Before Indiana, no team had been less than 49% that had won a championship in the 20 years prior. So this opens up the door that you don't have to get the highest 4 and 5 stars. And the thing about the blue chip ratio was Indiana's blue chip ratio actually lowered after you considered the players that they got in for the transfer portal. Because guys like Fernando Mendoza, he asked to walk on at Miami. He's from Miami. He asked to walk on. The previous coaching staff, Manny Diaz, who's now at Duke, they said no, you cannot walk on. Now he went to the same high school as Mario Cristobal. If he had asked Mario Cristobal that, there's just that relationship, the fact that he played high school football with his dad, he probably would have gotten an opportunity to walk on. But that shows you the guys that were so under recruited, it's so under prospected,
Underappreciated as
yeah.
well. So I'm gonna diverge a little bit from Indiana and talk about Mendoza.
Yeah.
He's from Miami.
The same high school as Mario Cristobal.
Miami does not have a quarterback for next season. Their quarterback, players on their quarterback rosters, as of right now, has attempted one pass. All their quarterbacks.
Does Miami not have a quarterback?
Oh, they have a quarterback, but I'm saying They don't have a name quarterback. They don't have any experience.
Even a name like Darian Minster?
He's at Duke, isn't he?
Is he? Is he? That's a good question. He entered the transfer portal just yesterday.
Well, let me finish. Let me finish. I don't think Miami has selected him. If they have it must have been in the last few minutes. But let me give you a scenario. Mendoza has another year of eligibility left, and he always wanted to play for Miami. And it's obvious he's not going to be at Indiana because Indiana just got in the guy from TCU.
Yeah.
What are the chances that he will play for Miami?
0. Miami came calling before the season. Georgia came calling before the season. Indiana came calling before the season. And his home school of Miami came calling before the season saying, hey, Mario Crispo called saying, hey, we were a completely different coaching staff. We're not Manny Diaz and them. We would love for you to come. And his mom said there's absolutely no way that you will be playing for the Miami Hurricane after what they did. Her little boy.
I was only kidding when I said that. But that is, he does have another year of eligibility, but he will be in the NBA, NFL.
Mark Cuban offered him $39 million to return to Indiana, which he will not be able to make in one season. But he's going to be the number one pick in the draft. He'll be a Patriot. He's actually born in Boston, even though he was raised in Miami. He was born for a short period of time. He was raised in the New England area, and he's a huge Patriots fan. So,
what does Indiana's win do for the Big Ten?
It solidifies them as the best conference in the country, bar none. Like, it's not a question anymore. The Big Ten is the best conference. The Big Ten and the SEC are the most powerful conferences, but this is the third straight year the SEC has not even played for a championship, and the Big Ten has won the whole thing. I think that pretty much solidifies them as the best conference in the country.
So, if they do not win next year, will they still be the best team in conference in the country next year?
I mean, it depends on the situation. If they have 3 of the 4 Final Four teams, and they don't win on a penalty similar to the Glenn Burke from Miami, like that controversial penalty against Ohio State. I mean, it depends on the situation and circumstance, but I mean that's from that year to come. But if it's an SEC, if SEC has 4 of the Final Four next year, and they dominate the Big Ten, I think that's a lot that has to play out.
Okay, was it all coaching that got Indiana to where they are now?
I mean, no, it was absolutely the players. They have a lot of first rounders. They have a lot of first rounders. You have to identify talent. You have to develop talent. Some of it was talent development. Some of it was talent identification. And some of it some of it was coaching and scheme as well. But Pons is gonna, he's gonna be an NFL player. They have a few receivers. Surratt will be in the NFL. Charlie Baker will be in the NFL. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza will be in the NFL. Hemby will be in the NFL. Black will be in the NFL. They have a lot of defensive linemen that'll be in the NFL. They have a lot of players that were 2-star recruits, no-star recruits that weren't properly evaluated and weren't properly believed in for this reason or whatever.
And many of them went to James Madison.
Many of them are from James Madison.
Yes.
Many of them are from other schools as well. They do have a lot of transfers. But there are some guys like that stayed around. Like the guy who had a game-stealing interception, Carson Beck. He was there. He committed to Tom Allen. He was there through 2-win season, seeing his coach get fired. He stuck around for Curt Cignetti, not knowing what that was going to look like. There was a lot of images floating around Curt Cignetti's first game. It wasn't a half-empty stadium. It wasn't It wasn't a 2/3 empty stadium. It was at least a 3/4 empty stadium. It was completely empty their first game. It looked terrible.
Is Indiana here to stay?
For as long as Curt Cignetti is there, but he is 64. That is a good question. What more does he want to accomplish? He indirectly compared himself to Bear Bryant, so that lets you know that the job isn't finished for him. He's not satisfied with one championship, because Bear Bryant just didn't get one championship. I think he wants to establish himself as the best coach in the country, and there's a coach down there in Athens, Georgia, that has twice as many championships as he does currently. So I don't think that I don't think he feels comfortable with that. I don't think that sits right with him. And yes, he was on the same staff as Kirby Smart under Nick Saban. But I think, Curt Cignetti wants to prove that he is the best coach in the country. And that comes with at least 2 championships.
Is he the best coach in the country?
Yeah, for my money, he is.
Okay.
But he's been with he's been with his staff for a long time coming, and that's not gonna last forever. His staff will get picked up. His coordinators will get opportunities to be head coaches, and we'll have to see what happens with that.
Okay. Anything else on the game? Did the game surprise you in any way, shape, or form Monday night?
Did the game surprise me? It surprised me how dominant Miami's defensive line was against Indiana. Indiana's offensive line, I mean, their right tackle got benched. Yeah, I mean, Indiana's defensive line, or Indiana's offensive line almost lost that game to Miami, I would say that. I was shocked how much Fernando Mendoza got hit. But other than that, I wasn't too surprised. But Carson Beck threw some almost interceptions. Fernando Mendoza threw an almost pick 6. But it was a really good game, I thought. What surprised you?
Miami's defense. I knew they was good. I didn't think it was going to be that good. But the first half, JJ, was lousy. I mean, I didn't think it would be a game. Indiana controlled every aspect of that first half.
Well, not their offensive line didn't. I mean, it was 10-0. I'll grant you that. But he had 6 sacks in the first half.
Okay, the yardage and everything else, Indiana controlled.
Yeah.
And it did not look like it was going to be a real game. To me, there were 2 humongous plays in the game. The 4th and goal, and Cignetti decided to go for it when he could have kicked the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the biggest play in the game. And Mendoza ran it in for a touchdown. The next biggest play was the block punt.
No, that was the biggest play for me. It was a 6-point margin. That was 7 points right there. That was the game-defining play to me.
Well, Indiana did it. I mean, it took a lot of guts to go for it on 4th down. 4th and 5, I thought it took a lot of guts, and that's why I rated it as the biggest play. But it was, once they scored, it probably took a whole lot of weight off Indiana's shoulders. The fans especially.
Yeah, that block punt, that was a hell of a momentum changer for me. But it was a great game. You have a true national champion, 16-0 Indiana. You got to tip your cap to them.
I agree.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about the game?
I do think that if Miami had just a little bit better play from the quarterback position, much have been made about Carson Beck, his 6 years. He graduated 2 years ago. He doesn't really go to class. He's not worried about finishing his graduate program degree. He after he threw the game-ending interception, where 4 of his 6 seasons ended with him throwing an interception. Mm-hmm. He elected not to shake the hand of Fernando Mendoza or anybody else on Indiana. That comes into question. But there was a lot of discussion on, maybe if Miami just had a little bit better quarterback play, maybe they would have been able to beat Indiana. And I have to say I have to agree with that. And, there's a lot been made to do about Miami getting Darian Mensah, the quarterback that won the ACC for Duke. Yeah.
I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Duke is suing them.
Oh, yeah, they are suing them.
It's kind of interesting because the money that the player is getting, it's not a pay to play.
It's not.
They're signing their NIL rights basically away. And a judge on Tuesday said that Mensah could leave. He said he could leave.
Yeah.
However, Duke still have rights to his NIL stuff.
Yeah.
Miami can't. I don't know. It's so complicated that I ain't gonna even try to get involved in it. But it's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be interesting, and the real interesting thing to me is the fact that Darian Mensah's representation is the same person that represented him, represented Damon Williams' interests when Damon Williams tried to strong arm his way from Washington to LSU. Now, the Big Ten helped rewrite those contracts, and in the contract that Damon Williams had signed 4 days before trying to enter the transfer portal, had certain protections that actually had language that implicated him specifically, the player, because as we all know, Xavier Lucas of Wisconsin left last year, left Wisconsin to play for Miami. In Wisconsin did not allow him to enter the transfer portal, so he said, "Okay, well, I don't have to. I'll just withdraw from Wisconsin and enroll at Miami." And and the Big Ten learned a lesson from that. Now, Duke law is infamous for being one of the best laws schools in the country, but just if you can follow the way that the same representation is following the way they're acting in regards to Darian Minson compared to the way that they acted to Damon Williams, the implication is to me that type of language is not in there. The language for damages they can only go after seems to be the University of Miami and not the player specifically. So with that in mind, it looks like Darian Minson is going to be a Miami Hurricane.
I agree. I mean, the judge has already said, but his NIL rights will not be transferred to Miami.
No, so they'll just have to pay a disproportionate amount of their other money to them, and then the other players will have to go do a NIL. Now, Miami will have to pay at least $4 million in damages because that is the value that Duke, gave for Darian Minson this season. It might be more than $4 million.
Well, Duke has said it was, I forget the word, but it says damages.
Irreparable harm or something like that.
Which money can't satisfy.
And that is adorable, but I don't think that a judge is going to say that there isn't a number. I think there is a number. And it might be more than $4 million. So it might be more than $4 million.
You said everybody got a price?
Yeah, this is a capitalist society. I mean, you can, this has it. That's what
it's interesting because the bottom line is it's not a pay to play.
It's not.
It's not a pay to play. So they cannot deny him from playing at another school because they're not paying him to play at Duke.
Yeah.
It's going to get interesting.
It's going to be interesting because not only did Darian Minson enter the transfer portal, but his best target, his best receiving threat also entered the transfer portal once he heard that his quarterback isn't going to be there. Now, it's possible that he comes back to Duke if Darian Minson were to come back to Duke, but it's more than likely that he's also going to follow Darian Minson to Miami.
I agree.
And that's the situation that Duke is in. I can't say that I feel bad for Duke because I remember this time last year, Malik Murphy had led Duke to a 9-3 record, and Duke was very easily washing their hands of Malik Murphy. And Malik Murphy ended up landing in Oregon State. He didn't have the opportunity to. I mean, had things happened earlier, he would have been able to enter the transfer portal and find a better spot situation to help him. So I don't feel bad for Duke, but this is the Wild West. We need more regulations because this is, I don't know. I mean, this is unbelievable. Like, the last day of the transfer portal opening, your starting quarterback that you think you have signed leads to, the biggest conference rival that you have. It's like,
JJ, before we get out of here, before we move on to maybe next year's team, give me an SEC school and a Big Ten school who next year could be Indiana.
Well, the Big Ten school will be Indiana because they have Curt Cignetti.
Let me clarify mine. Thank you. Give me next year's an SEC or Big Ten school who no one will expect is going to accomplish anything, who could potentially accomplish a great amount.
For the Big Ten, I would have to say that would be Michigan. That would be because they're similar to Indiana. They have a preseason. I've seen a lot of way too early preseason stuff have Michigan in the 9 to 12 range, and that's where Indiana fell in the preseason rankings, 9 to 12, entering this season. So that would be my Big Ten answer. For the SEC, that could be Florida. You have John Summerall at Florida. You have new coaching there. Depends on their quarterback situation. They have to take a leap, obviously. Auburn. Who did Auburn get? They got Alex Golesh. They got the quarterback from USF. I think you're going to need a very good quarterback. A potential Heisman Trophy candidate, similar to Fernando Mendoza. Trinidad Chambliss in Ole Miss. I mean, I think there will be expectations if he does get his injunction. I think that they'll probably be a top 10 team. So,
will he get it? What do you think? Your personal opinion.
My opinion is based on what I've heard from Ole Miss fans, I think Ole Miss fans think that he'll get it. So I guess I don't really know that much about it. I assumed he wouldn't.
He
Honestly,
said he was injured. He's already played 5 years. He said he was injured 1 year, but there was no indication, no doctor's report or anything to justify or to substantiate the injury. So it's gonna be interesting. That's all I can say. From all the things I've read, everybody seemed to think he's gonna win because the NCAA just don't put up much of a fight. But from my perspective, man, I just don't understand how he could come back. But it seems like everyone else thinks he will. So there it is. So based on that assumption, JJ, let's go to this way too early next year's picks. Give me your picks.
who I think is gonna play for the championship next year?
Or just give me your picks for some schools next year. You can say championship, or you can say conference championships, or you can say whatever, but just some schools that are going to be in the hunt.
I mean, I think it's going to be some of the same old names. I think in the Big Ten, I already said Michigan, but I think Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon are going to be the other teams that flesh that out. I do believe in Matt Campbell and Penn State. Rocco Beck will be a senior. I think that I do that. I think that they could be a dark horse, but they did lose a lot. I mean, they lost a lot to Virginia Tech specifically, and I do know that he brought a lot of Iowa State people over, but I'm not sure if that's going to be as seamless a fit as I think Kyle Whittingham is at Michigan. I think his ideology fits in perfectly with Michigan. I think Matt Campbell, he likes to throw it around a little bit more. I think it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not sure if it's a seamless fit.
Let me go a different route. Give me your top two team in the Big Ten, top two team in the SEC, and give me one from the Big 12 and one from the ACC.
Okay. Well, do you have any in mind? I'll let you go first if you do.
I always got some in mind.
Well, let's go.
Arkansas in the SEC. No, actually, Georgia and Texas. I know a lot of people saying LSU and Mississippi also. I would go with Georgia and Texas. Texas losing a lot of players to the NFL this year, but they recruited well.
And they're gaining a lot of players from the transfer portal as well.
That's true. Those are the two from the SEC. From the Big Ten, man, if Oregon get a defense, they got their quarterback coming back. I'm gonna say Oregon and Ohio State.
Okay.
And I'll go, even though Miami doesn't have a quarterback officially right now, I'm going to go Miami in the ACC. And I'm going to go with Texas Tech again in the Big 12.
Yeah. So for the Big Ten, I'm definitely not going Oregon. I think they lose too much. I think Dante Moore is not one of the two best quarterbacks in the conference. I think Indiana, again, will have one of the best quarterbacks with Josh Hoover. So I'm going to go with Indiana and Ohio State in the Big Ten. Going down south, if Trinidad Chambliss does get that injunction, I'm going to go with Ole Miss to complement Texas. If not Ole Miss, then I probably will go with Georgia. If Trinidad,
you can only pick two now, JJ.
if Trinidad, for me, so it's not just Trinidad because the receiver Lee entered the transfer portal too. And he said he'll come back to Ole Miss if Trinidad comes back.
Okay.
But if Trinidad doesn't get that injunction, that's not just. I mean, you're losing your best receiver and your best quarterback. So,
okay. So give me three then.
So it's Texas for sure, and then Ole Miss if Trinidad gets the waiver. If Trinidad doesn't get the waiver, then I'll put Georgia in there.
Okay, so you and I are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Give me the ACC and the Big 12.
Well, I think the ACC. I think you can tell who I'm gonna pick to come out and represent the ACC. Okay. I got Miami come out the ACC, and from the Big 12, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna pick the team that pays the most money again. I'm gonna go with Texas Tech as well.
Where did you get your brain from, JJ? Because you almost copying me in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, interesting.
Hey, JJ.
Yeah.
I'm done. What did I leave out? What you got?
Nothing, but I just gotta say, if you have the money and the right coach, 8% blue chip ratio. That's all it takes. Arkansas could get that. I mean, there's so many schools around the country. Mississippi State,
Michigan State.
Michigan State. I mean, there's so many teams around the country that, show it. I mean, if you have the right personnel in place, you can do it. So, I mean, that's an inspirational story. It's great for Indiana, but it's not just great for Indiana. What it represents for other schools says a lot. Because it's not like Indiana did it the way that Ohio State did it with 4 and 5 stars. It's not like, Indiana just paid. It's not like they're Texas Tech. Texas Tech, they kind of paid for their program. Indiana, like, they grinded. They went out and got underrepresented, under-recruited, guys that would fit a system, and they were the team. They were the best team this year. Like, that is something that a lot of programs can dream about, being the next Indiana. So I think that is great for college football.
Our work is done.
I would say so.
WPS. Woo Pig Sweep. Go out and play some basketball now, Razorback. Beat LSU tomorrow.
Sorry.
What you got, JJ?
Detroit basketball.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were
We coming for you.